Hey guys, it's Mike from Cornfield Customs again, and I'm here to give you another episode of business tips and ideas that can hopefully help you grow your business and keep things on the up and up. So today I'm going to talk about three different things that all fall under efficiency. Efficiency is going to be a recurring theme because being efficient is what makes you a better craftsman and you can get your work done in a more timely manner. So the topic of efficiency is going to come up over and over in this series of business ideas. So today I wanted to talk about limiting distractions and efficiency. So one of the best ways I have found to limit distractions, and for me distractions are very detrimental. So I have a hard time staying on task and focus sometimes. So if I can eliminate any distractions that pull me away from being in the zone and focused in on the task at hand, I try to do that. So the biggest thing for me was getting people coming to the shop. And I think a lot of people struggle with this, and some people don't even see it as an issue. But I think if you limit who's in your shop, you'll see an improvement in efficiency, time management, and your quality will go up. So everything we talk about in all of these series, they go hand in hand and they work together. And keep in mind, I'm not an expert, I'm not a professional business consultant. I'm just telling you things that I have found that have worked for me. So if you want to implement any of these things into your shop, that's awesome. If you don't think that it's going to work for you, that's awesome too. Just kind of take it with a grain of salt. But I think this information can be very beneficial to pretty much any business out there if you want to grow your business and be sustainable long term. So back to what I was saying. The biggest thing I have found is limiting people coming to the shop. So how I did that is the shop is by appointment only. There's a sign posted on the doors stay locked. I do have a bell, like if it's an emergency or a delivery, but I can talk to them on my phone. So this does two things. It keeps you on task. Because the doors are locked, you're not getting a lot of traffic coming through, good traffic, bad traffic, and it will help you thin out potential problem clients. Problem clients, we all have them. Sometimes they can sneak through, but if you kind of implement a few things, it can help throw up those red flags before you get too involved. So what I found with being by appointment only, kind of removing the problem clients, is there's two different reactions that happen when people show up and they didn't realize the shop was by appointment only. So people will show up, door's locked, they see the sign on the front door, and they'll be like, oh, that makes sense. So I'll roll a shot of what the sign says, that way you guys can see kind of how I've got it laid out. But again, it goes two different ways. It'll be, oh, that makes perfect sense. And they call and they make an appointment. Or they read that and they're like, that's total bullshit. How was I supposed to know that this was by appointment only? Which A, it's on my website, B, it's on my Facebook, and C, it's on my Instagram. So if you've done your due diligence and looked into what I'm doing, you will know that I'm by appointment only, or you could have called ahead of time to make sure I was going to be here. So that's one of the first ways you can help kind of go through and screen potential clients, is if they show up, they understand what's going on with the locked door policy and they respect that, then that is a check in the positive comment. If they call to make an appointment and they leave you a nasty voicemail about how much bullshit it is, that is a check in the cons department, and that's not something personally I like to deal with, because when I get stressed out dealing with unruly clients, my efficiency goes way down, my productivity goes way down, and my motivation goes way down. So I really try to limit those kind of things from coming into the shop so I can stay focused, motivated, and in a good place mentally. So the locked door policy is great. But in the beginning, you're going to get a lot of pushback. Clients, some are great, some are not. So you can have a client that totally gets it, no problem. And then you're going to have the client that's like, no, you're working on my car. I need to be able to stop in at any point I want without an appointment to make sure you're working on my vehicle. To me, that's another red flag, so a check would go in the con side of the pros and cons list. Because if they understand what you're doing and they understand that you're trying to be more efficient to get more work done on their project, they don't need to be here all the time. If they don't trust you, that's not going to be good long term. So even with that pushback, you just have to lay it out and explain why you're doing it, why you think it's beneficial, and then you can just set up a weekly appointment with that client. But you have to really make sure they understand that it's not just you not wanting them around, you're doing it to be more efficient, to be more productive for less money on their project. Like for me, I had to explain it, when a client comes in and I'm not mentally or physically prepared, and it's a surprise and they pull me off of a project, if I was in the zone super hyper focused on what I was doing and they take me away from that for 5 minutes or 40 minutes, it could take me 2 or 3 hours to get back to the point where I was. I can't just jump right back in there. And I think a lot of people, especially creative types, will also struggle with that. When you're in the zone, you're in the zone. And when you lose that focus, it's very hard to get back. So that is a really good way of explaining it to a client is, you make the appointment. I know you're coming at 3 o'clock on Thursday, so I can be mentally and physically prepared to be at a stopping point to set that time aside for you. So that is a super good thing. I became way more efficient when I went to a locked door policy. So with the locked door policy, it's also for everybody, not just a potential client or a current client. It's for everybody that you know, friends, family, acquaintances, pretty much everything. Because, if people come in, they start to hang out, they'll be there for 2 or 3 hours, bench racing, telling stories. That can get really distracting. And you're a business, whether it be a commercial space or the shop at your house. If you are in business to make money, your workspace is where that needs to happen without distraction. So a lot of times you'll have to kind of lay down the law and tell friends and family, be like, look, I'm here to grow my business and do what I have to do. This is my work. You can't just come hang out 2-3 hours a day and just kind of bench race. I'm here, I need to focus, I'm growing my business, I have stuff that needs to get done, and I can't have the distraction. So that is also a tough thing to kind of have to deal with, especially with friends and family. They don't understand the business side of things and how you have to kind of just lay down the law. And like I said, you're there to be in business, not to socialize. This is not a social club. If you want to allow them to come in, the best time is on weekends if you're here working on your own stuff or cleaning up, or you can use your own discretion to allow them to come in, but you also have to be aware that that's going to cause a distraction. You're not going to be efficient, and it could slow things down. So maybe you set aside a day a week, like Wednesday night is friends hangout night, or whatever you want to call it. Or you can just let your friends come in and see how things go. But that's kind of counterproductive with a locked door policy, to where you're locked in the shop and you can focus on being efficient, creative, and accomplishing the task at hand every day. So from there, with the locked door policy sheet on the door, it has a phone number. That does not come to my cell phone. I'm a firm believer in either having a separate cell phone for the business or a direct landline. I don't like to give out my cell phone number to everybody. I used to do that, and it was probably one of the biggest mistakes I've ever made, because then, say you don't want to take on somebody's project because it's not the right fit, for whatever reason, you just don't want to take on their project, and they're upset about it, they can use that phone number against you. They can turn it into Like those insurance things you sign up for at like car shows where, open market insurance. I mean, I've personally had this happen to me where somebody was upset with me and they used my phone number on those get free insurance quotes. And I mean, we had 300 phone calls in a day, and it was all just like, oh yeah, we're calling you back about your insurance. So you have to kind of separate that. And it can be somewhat expensive depending on what you want to do, but I went the way of a dedicated landline. That way it's cheap, it's here, and when I leave, it stays here, which even if you have a business cell phone, leave that phone here when you're gone, because you need to have that separation of business and personal life, which again, that will go back to help with where you are mentally and where you are physically, which translates into efficiency, focus, and positive attitude. So with the landline or your other cell phone, have a message on there that says, thank you for calling my shop. Please leave a clear message with your name, your phone number, and a brief description of the project. That, for me, is key. I get so many messages where they're talking really fast, they're yelling in the phone, they leave out like certain numbers in the phone number, or hey, this is Carl, call me back, I want to talk about a project. For me, that doesn't leave a lot of faith that this is going to be worth the time to call them back. And I'll get into that a little bit more when we talk about social media messages later in this video. So, just be very clear and lay the groundwork, because just like weeding out people that, are not the type of people you want to do work for, because it's just going to be stressful or, a bad experience, the same thing can be screened on your phone. So if they call and they don't leave a clear message, they don't follow the directions in the message, or they don't leave a message at all, is that really the type of client you want to be doing work for, to where they can't follow direction, they can't listen to instructions, or they just don't care and they do whatever they want. So I use that a little bit as a screening process. But even if it's, say, a project I'm not interested in, which I get a lot of those, I still do my best to call everyone back and just say, hey, I appreciate you reaching out. Due to our current workload, I'm not taking on any more work, or that's not really a project that we would like to take on. So there's a whole nother thing about kind of staying in your lane and focusing on your skill set. But that's going to be a whole nother video, and I won't get into it a whole lot. But say that you're a coach building shop like I am here, and you get a call for a guy that wants you to sharpen his lawnmower blades. Can you sharpen lawnmower blades? Sure. Is that really the type of work you want to be doing with your skill set? No. Is the guy going to pay you $100 an hour to sharpen lawnmower blades? Probably not. So even though you're not interested in doing the work, it's a good idea to call him back and just say, hey, I appreciate it, we don't do that here. Just so you keep that open connection of not turning into the asshole that never returns anybody's phone calls. So get a dedicated landline, and you could even throw in there too, here's my email address, please email me if emails work better for you. So that really works for me, because I don't answer the phone during the day. I don't need that distraction of the phone ringing constantly, running over, stopping what I'm doing, again, getting out of the zone, losing that focus to answer the phone, and it be a robot call, or it's the king of Prussia saying that I want $1 million. There's just so many scam calls too that it's not going to be effective. So get a landline, even if you have to turn the ringers off, and you just don't answer the phone during the day. You check your messages at lunchtime, and you check your messages at the end of the day, and then you set up a time, say the last 40 minutes of each day, to call those people back. So you can weed out potential problems, and you can screen your calls without the distraction of having to answer the phone. So those are two really good ideas. The by appointment only, locked door policy, and setting a dedicated phone system just for the business that you don't answer during normal work hours. So the other thing that for me is huge is with social media. And this is going to be a whole huge topic, so I'm not going to cover all of it here, but I will preface a little bit that if you're not using social media, you're missing out. You get such a huge reach for nothing. If you had to pay for the advertising reach that you get through social media, it would be astronomical. So it's kind of foolish to not take advantage of that and use social media to help grow your brand. Even if it's just one post a day or one post every other day. Get into using social media and just work on growing that, whether it be Facebook, Instagram, Threads, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, forums, everything. Just get out there and put your work out. But this is the other side to that problem. When you're putting your work out there, you need to have a way to contact you. So say you're on Facebook or Instagram. You can have your email, you can have your phone number, you can have everything, but they're still going to DM you. And that's fine. I enjoy getting DMs. I like answering people in DMs, but there's going to be a certain type of person, which this isn't every person that does this, or it's not every instance, but the mass majority of the time when I get someone that just DMs me out of the blue and says, hey, call me, with a phone number, that's a red flag. Because two things, they haven't done their due diligence to look at your profile and know a good way to contact you via the phone number or email that you have provided, or they don't tell you what they want. So anecdotal evidence here, I had a guy the other day, same thing, call me. All right, here is the shop line, which, you know, we have, and I gave him the shop number, and it was the end of the day and I happened to be standing right by the phone, so I just went ahead and answered it. And it was a 20-minute conversation. The guy was telling me his life story on this project and going on and on and on about how he got screwed over here and he got screwed over there, and this is a frame rail, and he needed to know pricing. And I explained to him that I could not price a set of frame rails until I had something with dimensions. So he told me that it was a full perimeter frame and outriggers on the side, a back half, a front half with some stringers across it. I think it was 8 or 9 pieces total that he wanted. And just kept talking and talking and talking, and I listened, and then he's like, well, I guess before I waste any more of your time, is this going to be less than $500? So, no, it's not. And at this point, say my labor rate is $100 an hour, and we were on the phone for 30 minutes, you've wasted 30 minutes of my time, which time versus money is a whole different topic we'll cover later. But you have to look at things like that, because all you're doing is exchanging time for money. So he's wasted 30 minutes of your time, so you can't bill that time, or you can't be doing your own personal interests that are outside of business. So you're going to get those, and you just kind of have to suck it up and do it. But if you can limit that, and kind of where I'm going with this is that's always a red flag when somebody reaches out and just says, call me, because they're not serious enough to go in and do the research on you to know how to get a hold of you with a serious inquiry. So you're going to have to find good ways to kind of pre-screen potential clients. There's good clients, there's bad clients, there's clients in between. There's just so many things out there, but you have to find a good way to screen them for your business. And I mean, it's a lot of the guys like you that are watching this, we're not like Target or a gas station where the vast majority of society is going to come to us. We are kind of specialized, and we all have a specialized area in this niche market. whether it be aluminum bodied race cars, or you're a Chevelle guy, you're a Nova guy, you're a Mustang guy, you're a C10 guy. We all have our areas of expertise, so if you can limit that, because we don't want to be a jack of all trades, we want to have our own specialized areas that we can focus on. So, you know, again, we'll just say the lawnmower blade. If you're building Mustangs, you're not sharpening lawnmower blades. You need to stay on your path. You know, stay with what you want to be doing. So kind of focus on that. Find good ways to streamline your efficiency and your focus. Because if you can stay streamlined, keep your focus on the task at hand, you know, your motivation will be better and your quality of work will be better. Everything goes hand in hand. You know, everything we talk about in this ongoing series, and some stuff we won't talk about, but it all works together. And it's, you know, efficiency, focus, determination, hard work, routines, all of this stuff goes together to build success and to keep success on an upward trajectory. So, you know, those are 3 really good ways to help limit distractions. And just a recap on that is with the locked door policy, a dedicated phone line, and then trying to pre-screen potential time wasters or tire kickers that come through your social media. And again, you can use the landline. When somebody messages you, say call me, say, you know, here's the office line, please call me during normal business hours. That will help limit the amount of distractions you get through social media. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Hopefully it wasn't too boring. I know these aren't the greatest where it's just me sitting here with a, you know, part of the shop in the background, but I think this is going to be very beneficial to a lot of you guys that are just starting out, and even for potential clients, for me, for your guys' shops, just because it gives a little more insight into why things are done certain ways in a business. Hopefully, you know, for potential clients, it'll explain why we do a locked door policy, why I don't answer the phone, but I return calls as long as I can understand the message, and why I reply the way I do on social media messages. You know, it's going to give an insight to both sides, for the business owner, potential business owner, and potential client. So again, hopefully this is beneficial, not too boring. I really appreciate you guys checking this out. Drop me a line down in the comments. Let me know what you thought of this video, what you'd like to see in future business ideas, and we can talk about. If you think this is a terrible video series, drop a comment and let me know. You know, because I want to build this channel for what you guys want to see and what you guys think is beneficial. And we are going to get back to more technical stuff. Bonneville's coming up next week, so there's going to be a whole series on the race car at Bonneville, team member interviews. It's going to be a really good video that I'm working on. So again, thank you so much for checking this out. Drop me a line down in the comments. Let me know what you're thinking, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.